babies. See you, babies. Why is it raining? Why?
Because otherwise it was too boring.
Oh, you're absolutely.
You know?
To mix it up.
To mix it
To make
up.
things fascinating. Do I need this, or should I just shout for the?
I think it's
Shout.
no for the translation we need.
Oh, I see. Who does not speak English? I'm asking a question. All right, just enough. For you, we'll have the.
Ci sentite? Buongiorno, benvenuti. Con Alessandra De Luca ho il grande onore di presentare Tom Hanks.
Bravo.
Alessandra, vuoi iniziare tu?
Here we are. Thank you.
Should I read English? Maybe it's better.
Whatever will keep the savages. Sorry. Whatever works.
We are going to see all your movie in this festival, and you are going to have a very beautiful prize. And I wonder, what do you feel when you look back at your life and your career, and you see all this beautiful movie you made? What you feel? What is your feelings?
Well, there's a philosophy that says never look back because the past may be gaining on you, which is what I have a tendency to do. I don't dwell on any of the movies I've made because I've seen them. And they don't change. You know, they're not different than Splash is the same as it was when I saw it in 1984, and all I can really gain from it is an understanding of how long ago it was and how old I've gotten. But there's no surprises in it. I don't mean to be flip. I am the luckiest actor on the planet Earth. I've always felt, and I've actually sometimes said, that the only true yardstick for success is longevity. And that doesn't mean longevity as the featured player in a film. It just means longevity that you still are good enough so that they ask you to come and create a role again. Doesn't have to be the biggest role, but as long as they keep asking you to do the art that you love and to be the professional that you think you are and to pursue an idea that only you yourself can in its own time, that is success, and that is the luckiest you can be. So I just feel very, very fortunate that I have a body of work that is going to take up far too much time for anyone who actually wants to sit through and watch them all. If you ask me, I'll tell you some things to avoid. You know, there's some movies you might, you've seen Forrest Gump probably already, so, check out that thing you do. You've probably seen, Big, you've seen that. I played that. Watch Larry Crown instead. I mean, there's a lot of other movies in order to go to. They always say to you, I'll do this in an Italian accent, and I don't mean to be insulting to anybody. But, in the United States, you'll meet a correspondent from Rome, and they said, and of course, Tom, you're so successful. You make a big, and then you make a Forrest Gump. And I said, no, I made Big, and then I made Bonfire of the Vanities. It actually moves along in a quite different sort of checkered profession. But every job is new, every film is an adventure, and I have learned something about myself as a man and myself as an artist by the time every job is finished. I'm very lucky.
After this impression of the Italian accent, I'll pose my question in Italian. Tom, insieme alla retrospettiva che ti abbiamo dedicato, ce n'è una sulla politica americana. Cosa diavolo sta succedendo in America?
Should I put that on, or will I?
Okay, my question is about American politics.
Oh, okay. We're going to get right to it. Let's go.
What do you think is going on? What is happening there in your country?
Well, I don't know if you could say this to such an august collection of journalists, but it kind of strikes me as, Crapfest 2016. I'll let you translate that as you see fit. Every 4 years, the circus comes to town in the United States. Every 4 years, we decide on who's going to be the leader. Sometimes We're in an era where it seems as though the country's at a crossroads. It's always at some form of crossroads. And oftentimes in our history, there is a fever pitch of fear and anxiety. Sometimes it's warranted. Other times it's manufactured. I think without a doubt the world is going through something quite profound, in which the future is shaky, in which the future is mysterious, in which great parts of the world are dealing with problems that seem as though they have no solution and seem as though they will never go away. When America has faced those sorts of circumstances and times, we have never turned to a simplistic, self-involved gas bag of a candidate. They are out there. They have been there. I'm a lay historian. I read history for pleasure. And there has always been a Huey Long. There has always been a Wendell Willkie, although he was a pretty good guy. There's always been a Herbert Hoover. There's always been a Senator Joseph McCarthy. There's always been some version of the current nominee of the Republican Party that holds sway. But we never invest our future with them. We have never done it, and we will not do it now. So there's the political answer right there.
Grazie, mi sembra molto chiaro. A voi le domande, no? Alessandra?
Sì,
I just want to go back. Do we understand the concept of Crap Fest 2016? That's really what if you can make that the headline, I'd really appreciate. Send that around the world on your social media. Anybody?
Buonasera, sono Roberto Silvestri di Parole a Colori. Volevo chiedere a Mr. Hanks, lei ha fatto tantissimi film nella sua carriera, volevo chiederle qual è il suo metodo di giudizio per valutare una sceneggiatura, per fare un film, come decide di fare un personaggio e se nella sua lunga carriera si è pentito di qualche no, detto a qualche produttore, a qualche sceneggiatore nel corso della sua carriera. Grazie.
Oh, that's interesting. You know, I have never felt stupid for turning down a job because I make my decisions very instinctively. I probably can't explain it, but there is some combination of theme that is examined by the film itself, or aspect of the character that I view as something that I instinctively understand. There's been any number of movies that I have not been able to make because of schedule, and I don't sweat that. If I'm not available to do it, I can't do it, and I never look back. But the choice to say, the harder thing to weigh is saying no as opposed to saying yes. It's easy to say yes because they'll pay you good money, because you might get to kiss a pretty girl, because you might get to be a tough guy and get to shoot in Dubai, or you might get to come to Rome for a long period of times and be the coolest dude in town. There's a lot of, or you might get to work with a director that you've wanted to work with, or a cinematographer. There's many times that saying yes is just so simple and so desirable, and it would fill in all the boxes that you would want it to do. But there's something in there that you are not connected to. There's an aspect of it that you don't care about. There is going to be some aspect of the job that is not going to require of you that all-encompassing passion that makes you crave to get to work and crave for the cameras to roll and for you to interpret a script. If that is missing, you have to say no, because then you're not being true to the reasons that you're in this in the first place. I love being an actor because I get to explore selfishly aspects of myself again and again that end up testing me as a 60-year-old man, or as a guy who lives in America, or what have you. So weighing that no is a lot harder than reading something, looking at it. As soon as you're on page 15, you think, oh my God, I got to do this. I can't turn this down. I don't want anybody else to have it. I'm too selfish and too competitive. So if that's the definition of how I choose the jobs I do, that's how I choose the jobs.
C'è una domanda lì?
Yes. We have a microphone for the 700 of you. Oh, I'll wear this so that I can, yes. Please, no photographs of me wearing a headphone.
This is in English. Hi. Hi. Follow up to the political question. You recently said around the Inferno press activities that ignorance is the worst plague of the planet. Was that at all referring to the election? And could you say that, someone who's run a campaign based mainly on lies, do you think that Trump voters aren't really going in armed with the facts, that they haven't done their due diligence?
Well, okay. I mean, I think I already addressed that. We don't need to make this all about the election or the candidate. But ignorance is not just political. There's an ignorance is a commodity that could be sold and bought. There are people who maintain the status quo because they promote a brand of ignorance. There are people that maintain power and their place in the zeitgeist by promoting a brand of ignorance. There's societies in the world where you're not allowed to read the books that you want to read or even paint the pictures that you'd like to paint. That to me is the most dangerous aspect, and it has always been. Look, I'm just an actor talking about movies, but I know as much about the human history as anyone who cares to. And when ignorance has prevailed, bad things have happened to the course of humankind. I believe it was a very wise man at some point said, the truth shall make you free. That's true. I don't know how to say a phrase about the truth is true, but it's true. So there, I've said it 3 times. Truth is truth, and it does set you free. And, ignorance is the absence of that. So my comment is not particularly aimed at anything, although certainly is. I mean, there's an awful lot of ignorance that is promoted in any sort of campaign. I was asked, I'm going to do an imitation of an Italian journalist again. Will you forgive me? All right, so you're talking to a room full of journalists and said, Tom, please, Tom, why is America now? Why the Trump? Why? And I said, for the same reason, you're Italian, why the Berlusconi? Why? Why? So, that was I was ignorant just now?
Okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, listen, I embrace ignorance every time I try to look cool, so if it works, it works.
Ok, so there is probabilmente un microfono lì e poi arriviamo anche lì, prego.
Yes, no?
Salve, buongiorno. Claudio Fontanini, Italia Serie Cinema Spettacolo. Senta, scorrendo a memoria la sua sterminata filmografia, mi vengono in mente pochissimi ruoli da cattivo. Mi viene in mente il film di Sam Mendes, per esempio, ma non ne ritrovo altri. Come mai lei ne ha interpretati così pochi? Cioè, è stata un'esigenza, non ho mai sentito l'esigenza di farli o li hanno proprio proposti? Grazie.
It's interesting. First of all, I have a certain countenance that could play itself out in a villainous context, but the usual structure of cinematic narrative is not one that is basically one of subtlety. I don't have any interest as an actor or even as an audience member to play the type of villain that says things like, "Before I kill you, Mr. Bond, perhaps you'd like a tour of my installation." The ideas of people who are out for power, simple power, snarling, what have you. There are roles out there that, in fact, I have one that we've already shot it. It's in the work, in which my countenance actually works for malevolent purposes. I like films in which the arguments that are made by both the protagonist and the antagonist have merit. I like it when the bad guy makes sense. I like it when the good guy makes more sense. I like to have to weigh the difference between, if I was more self-involved, who would I really throw myself behind? Villains end up being in films, end up being more archetypes than they are individuals. And I've just been able to enjoy options in which I didn't have to do that. Now, I would love to play a villain, but I would love to play the bad guy in a film. But it has to be for reasons that make sense and reasons that are something other than just being contrary to the hero.
Allora, qui, prego, e poi anche lì dietro.
Sì? No, sì?
Sì.
Grazie.
Parlato dell'IA Loud Vision, mi collego alla domanda precedente. Specie nei ruoli che lei ha interpretato per i film di Steven Spielberg, penso a The Terminal, penso a Bridge of Spies, ma anche a Catch Me If You Can, lei è opinione comune che lei sia, e io sono d'accordo con questa opinione, l'unico, forse l'ultimo grande erede di una tradizione attoriale americana che, diciamo, arriva da James Stewart ai giorni nostri, cioè lei è l'unico che può ancora interpretare questi ruoli fortemente morali. Cosa pensa di questa cosa?
You know, I don't place morality into it. I think that well, let's talk about just the work that I've done with Stephen. I've worked with Stephen on 4 times on Saving Private Ryan. Captain John Miller was a man in the midst of some degree of hell on earth in which an awful lot was at stake. I don't know if the morals there are ones that are so problematic that they need a type of examining. John Miller was terrified because he was going to get people killed and he knew it. And he did not know what this experience was going to turn him into for the rest of his life. I think that's human more than a moral question. The next one I did was Catch Me If You Can. Catch Me If You Can was magnificent because I played Javert to Leonardo DiCaprio's Jean Valjean. I must say, I talked to a number of FBI agents who just loved their jobs. One of the reasons they love their jobs is because they like putting, crooks in jail. And I guess there is a morality to taking on a job where you put crooks in jail, but they just also love the lifestyle of being an FBI agent. They loved having cuffs and sidearm and credentials that allowed them in order to pursue the good. Okay, so there's a moral there. And I would say, okay, I would buy Jimmy Stewart as an FBI agent in that circumstance, in which, okay, I fit. Then the third film was The Terminal, in which I played Viktor Navorsky from an undetermined East European country that was either, fighting for its existence or not. And the idea there was, it was an ode to my father-in-law, who escaped the communists out of Bulgaria many, many years ago and was absolutely convinced that America was the greatest country in the world, #1, greatest country in the world.
Tremendous.
And he did that. He thought this was because he got to read the books he wanted to read, and he was able to pay for a house on the tips he made as a bartender for his life. Now, all right, that's where that came from. And then Bridge of Spies. I've always wanted to try to examine the history of communism, particularly in the Soviet Union, because when I was a young man, you would never have been able to convince me that there would not be a Soviet Union in the future. They were the bad guys, they were on the other side of the world, they were trying to bury us, they were trying to get to the moon first, and they were this enigmatic mystery if you were an American growing up in California. And the option in order to get into that for what was a true story and to examine the actually, quite frankly, yes, the moral stance that James Donovan takes in order to pursue it. There is a morality that goes along with it. But there's also plenty of imperfections in the back and forth. At the end of the day, though, I don't make decisions on who to work with or the movies to take based on, I think this is a good moral message in order to say. I see it as being an examination of the human condition that usually takes into account the fact that life is one damn thing after another. And you're either able to survive at sea or you drown. That's what we're all sort of dealing with. So I look the way I look and I sound the way I sound. And I wish it invoked more fear in all of you, but it just doesn't, damn it. So I'm gonna have to come up with something. So thank you.
Lì, poi qui davanti e poi lì, prego.
Yes? No? Sì? No?
Yes. Sono Eugenio Arcidiacono, famiglia cristiana, e volevo chiedere, lei è anche nonno di nipoti che rappresentano quindi il futuro dell'umanità. Volevo chiedere che cosa fa con loro, e se guarda i suoi film, cosa gli racconta?
They have no idea what Grandpa does for a living. It's a mystery to them. They don't care. I think they recognize my voice in America in the Toy Story films. In Italy, I would be a mystery to anybody, but in the United States, they understand that I'm this thing on TV on occasion. But they haven't grasped that aspect of it. And what do I do with them? I goof around with them, you know. I try to pick them up and play them like banjos. I sit on the floors and color with them. I try to convince them that I'm a big shot, and they refuse to believe me. But this is the bane of all grandfathers with their grandchildren. I will have to say that I would rather sit in a room and listen to my grandkids talk than, no offense, than sit here with the impressive Antonio Mondo and be at the Festa del Cinema di Roma. In that regard, I'd rather do that because they are more entertaining than Fellini. And put that out on your social media right now. Young children more entertaining than Fellini, says Tom Hanks at the Rome Film Festival.
La signora con la mano alzata.
Yes, no?
Yeah.
Hi, buongiorno. Yes, I speak Italian.
Thank you.
Thank you. Volevo chiedere, il bello del mestiere dell'attore, lo dicono gli attori stessi, è quello di interpretare personaggi molto diversi tra loro e in qualche modo entrare anche in vite diverse. Però volevo chiedere, in riferimento a personaggi molto forti, penso per esempio, non so, a Forrest Gump o adesso a Robert Langdon, personaggi che si ripetono, no? Nel tempo, nelle saghe cinematografiche. C'è il rischio per l'attore che le interpreta che gli rimangano un po' appiccicati addosso, insomma, per qualche tempo? Qualcuno l'ha identificata spesso come Forrest Gump, c'è il rischio che magari qualcuno adesso la chiami Langdon.
Yeah, I get that. That is a risk that has been true since time began. As soon as there was anybody who put on somebody else's clothes and pretended to be somebody else, the risk you run always is that you are so identified with a character that you can never be anything else. In all honesty, that's oftentimes why I end up saying no to roles, because there is nothing to be gained necessarily from repeating yourself. And there is, quite frankly, there is a version of my career in which I would be here promoting Forrest Gump 8, you know, in which I would be trying to convince you that if Forrest Gump 8 is, you know, not since Forrest Gump 6 has there been such a film as Forrest Gump 8 truly is the best of all the Forrest Gump films. You know, you could go back and for the sake of commerce and perhaps for the sake of for artistry, go back and revisit roles. And in all honesty, for the franchise, and it is a franchise, there's a bit of commerce. There are the Robert Langdon roles, the Da Vinci Code and Angels, Demons and Inferno. Yeah, there's a bit of business that goes on there, but there is also a character that I get to revisit again. The truth is, we all have a degree of countenance that we carry with us from film to film. But the contract that we have with the audience and that the audience has with the film itself is, you start all over from square one. No matter who you are. I'll look, because I'm in Rome, I'll bring up nothing but, you know, Italian references to Italian cinema. But Sophia Loren was Sophia Loren in every single role she played. But she was also a great artist, and you couldn't take your eyes off that current incarnation of who she was playing. You end up being attracted to it on one hand, but you end up being moved on the true cinematic artistry of everybody that's involved. I would be if I was to go back and say, look, I'm not about to change anything I ever did. I've done pretty well. I mean, you know, I'm doing okay. I haven't fucked up too bad, you know. And of course, pardon me, I just dropped the F-bomb to you all. I didn't mean to do that. Yes, I did. But I think that what you're asking is sort of like, is there a danger of there being no more mystery to you as an artist, as an actor? I think there could be that kind of danger, but it seems as though this great contract is still in place between the artist and the audience and the film, is that you start all over at square one that day and for that film. And the only thing that might shift is if you leave the cinema and you think, I am so glad I went to the movies today because I was a part of something and I saw something I didn't expect. But oftentimes the other thing happens as well, which is, well, that was a waste of time. You want to go get something to eat? Geez, I would like that 2.5 hours back. Both things happen. But there is, you always bow down to that contract, I think, that the audience has with a movie and vice versa.
Prego.
Buongiorno, sono Ekaterina Sinitsina Santoni, la voce della Russia Russia Today. Добрый день.
I thought that was a statement. Russia Today!
Yes, yes. Lei tanti anni fa aveva lavorato in Russia, a Mosca, e voleva dire che è un attore molto amato in Russia. Anzi, io volevo approfittare di questa occasione e salutare lei da parte di tanti amici miei di Mosca e anche da tanti colleghi, perché veramente in Russia amano tantissimo i film che lei aveva fatto. E purtroppo adesso i nostri due paesi stanno a attraversare un periodo abbastanza pesante e io volevo sentire da parte sua anche alcuni commenti. Lei è un grandissimo attore no, è la verità, non è un complimento, è la verità, un dato di fatto. Come lei può commentare la sua idea, come possiamo risolvere questo problema? Lei che cosa ne pensa? Grazie. Спасибо большое. Спасибо.
You know, I won't dodge the question, but I won't answer it either. What do you think of that? It is beyond my pay grade to get involved in the diplomatic affairs between two different nations. I will say that. I will say there are great people in both countries, and wouldn't it be fabulous to all get along? There you go. That's all you're getting out of me, Russia Today.
C'è una domanda qui.
Oh.
No, c'è
vai, come on.
lì il signore con la
Ok, in italiano. Allora, Roberto Lefrigge per Talkie Movie. Allora, la mia domanda è: lei oltre a essere un attore è anche un eccellente produttore, quindi volevo sapere qual è il progetto che ancora non ha realizzato e che spera di realizzare, visto che è molto appassionato di storia eccetera e ha prodotto veramente delle cose notevoli.
Yes. That's interesting. Here's the difference between being an actor and a producer. An actor gets a job and never has to explain anything to anybody. You just figure out what you're going to do and you do it. You don't have to make phone calls. You don't have to beg anybody. You don't have to disappoint anybody. You can show up late. They bring you free sandwiches. You can get a haircut anytime you want to. You can say, I'm tired now. I think I'll come to work tomorrow at 9 a.m. and not at 6:45. And they have to put up with you. Here's what you get to do as a producer. You get to call somebody on the phone and beg them to do something they don't want to do. Please write this. Please come. Just write this. Please. No, we'll pay you whatever you want. Just write it. Why can't you write it? Please write it. Don't hang up on me. I hung up on you. Or you get to do this. Hey, you know that thing you wanted to write, you don't get to. Sorry, you don't get to. No, you're not going to. Sorry. You get to either beg somebody to do something they don't want to do, or tell somebody they don't get to do something they really want to do. That is producing in a nutshell. Which job do you think is more fun? I'd rather be the actor, quite frankly. But what I do as a producer, I don't mean to be flip, I don't mean to dodge the question like I did to Russia today, but although I think I addressed it, I just didn't answer it. Does that make sense? What I get to do as a producer is ally myself to really good people who do what they do, who can budget a film, who can get the film made, that can do all the physical work that's necessary, and be sort of like I run sort of like quality assurance on all the other artistic aspects of it. But if you're a smart producer, which I don't know if I am or not, you ally yourself to really great people who have a really great idea and do everything you can to shepherd them to that. In all honesty, I will tell you, not to come back to Russia today, but there was a film product, a character by the name of Dean Reed, who was an American who was very, very big in the Soviet Union. I tried to make that movie for a long time, and quite frankly, I just got too old in order to see it through. But you come across these products that you are passionate for, and when they just slip out of your fingers like so much sand, it's a bit of a bitter disappointment. On the other side, when you have a great passion for something and it takes 6 or 7 years in order to make a reality, the rewards can be pretty great. I was one of the producers and originators of, for example, the film Castaway, which I started working on 6 years before Bob Zemeckis got involved, which means about close to 7 years before it came out. That's a really long haul, but that's the type of work that you have to do as a producer. And I think instinctively, it's not my foray. It's not my métier. As an actor, I think I know what to do. As a producer, I stumble and find my way.
Prego.
Buonasera, io sono Eleonora Capri, canale 21 e Radio Roma Capitale. Io volevo chiederle questo, volevo parlare della sua carriera futura. C'è un artista italiano con cui le piacerebbe collaborare in futuro?
Yes. I'll have a crane of. I won't be able to remember any sort of names, but I'm open to anybody who has that great idea that I can lay myself onto. I just missed having dinner with Roberto Benigni because I wasn't here. I think Roberto and I would be magnificent together, don't you? I think that would be fantastic. Look, here's a weird thing. I grew up in Oakland, California, and we had a television station that would play movies that did not belong on television. But that's where I saw La Strada for the first time. That's where I actually just watched 8½. When I was like 14 years old. I had no idea what was going on in 8½, but I knew it was something great. I can't keep up with the mass amount of current Italian examples of Italian cinema, but I am certainly open to any sort of suggestion. I'm sorry I can't come up with a specific to give you. Who should I say?
Can we take another question?
Italiano. Gianluca Pisacane, rivista del cinematografo. Volevo chiedere cosa ha provato nell'interpretare Sully in questo suo ultimo film e in particolare il suo rapporto con Clint Eastwood.
I am in awe of Clint Eastwood as both, the legend that he is, the actor that he is, and oddly enough, the filmmaker that he is. Not oddly enough, but including the filmmaker it is. He's made recently some of the most sophisticated movies I've ever seen. Not the least of which is Juventus. Invictus. Juventus. Can you believe that? No. AC Milan. He made that movie. Invictus, as well as any number of the film he made with, I'm having cranial plate shifts. Mystic River and what have you. He's made very terse, very specific, almost out of time, meaning that they come from another era of film, but they end up being timeless films in themselves. The working relationship I had in him was very quick. I read the screenplay, and the only conversation I had with Clint was about when we would shoot the film. He hires his actors, trusting that they will come in and be ready to go. You do not rehearse. You do not talk about about it because Clint has, I think, to put words in his mouth, that he has seen how time is wasted on a film set too many times to bother having conversations. His whole thing is, well, go ahead. Well, show me. That's it? Okay, do it again. All right, that's good. Let's come around here. That's the way he directs. The most you'll get out of him is, I would come to the set early before Clint would arrive because all of the people that have worked with him, his crew, has been with him for 20 years, 17 movies, whatever. And I would say, so what do you think we're going to do? Well, the boss will probably want you to come in here and go in there and do your little monkey dance and then turn around, and he might just keep going. I said, okay. So me and Aaron Eckhart or whoever else is in the scene, we get in there and we sort of like prepare. And then Clint comes in and says, all right, why don't you come in here and you'll go in there and you'll do your little monkey dance in there and maybe we'll cut or maybe I'll just keep going. Let's see what happens. And that's what we do. So what that requires from all of us is really to be on our toes and have an idea of what we want to do. What I got from that experience is Clint wanted us to behave. And I actually adhere to a theory or a school of thought about film acting is that's what it is. It's behaving, it's procedure, and it's behavior. And you have to be true to what's going on. At the same time, you have to do that thing where you pay attention to an ideal that is being sought by both the screenwriter and the filmmaker. But with Clint, you think that because there's no rehearsal, you think that because you're not going to have a lot of takes per se, there's a lot of coverage, there's not a lot of takes, that somehow that's going to be constricted, that's going to be binding. It's just the opposite. It's very, very freeing because if you know the behavior, Clint accepts it and then he moves on. I will say the other thing about Clint is he doesn't say action and he doesn't say cut and he doesn't say rolling. He just goes like this. And then everybody else on the crew goes. And then he leans in close and he says to you, okay, go ahead. And then you do it. And then he says, all right, that's enough of that. And that's how you make movies, which is odd. You know, what you want is, okay, rolling, here we are, everybody, action, and stand by, and 3, 2, 1. You want that. But if you're just trying to be a guy who's behaving, that can actually like ramp you up a little bit too much. So in some ways it's better just to get that and be told to go ahead.
Oggi alle 5:30 avrò il grande onore e privilegio di fare una conversazione con Tom Hanks sulla sua carriera, la sua vita, i suoi film, ma anche consegnargli, questa è la notizia, insieme a Claudia Cardinale, il premio alla carriera della Festa del Cinema.
Thank you.